This is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about. Science of all sciences, right?
Right.
Out of that comes pantheism. That's 6 ether. Out of that comes religion. So if you're using Hindu as your source, Hindu is that. Hinduism is pantheism. You see? And the other name for that was Rahot, which Ra is Greek, and it refers to 6 ether because that's what the Greeks referred to Re as. The ancient Egyptians referred to the sun as Re, and the Egyptians referred to the sun as Ra. See? 9 ether when the sun is in the life state, 6 ether, Ra when the sun is in this 6 ether state. So this is why they have Ra, from the prefix to the note that it's 6 ether. And 6 ether is Hindu, and that refers to pantheism. So that's why Doc said, anytime that you read a book, you
always read what the author's notes
and know what the philosophy is. Yep. So if it refers back to pantheism, it all go back to that. So it can't be the original, and it can't supersede that because you have to get back to that.
Right.
But where would you find the information about the beings that was before 76 trillion years? Everything is encompassing into absolute nature. But remember, you got absolute nature, and then you have nature in general. Absolute nature is just all, or what we call all. Nature in general, we refer to as the all. You see, a lot of people get that confused, even though it's pretty much one and the same. The all is the creative force, but the all is too big to create anything. So it had to create a part of itself to do the creation within itself, if you will. And that is the all. And within the all, you have your creative forces, 9, 6, and 3. See, so you don't know what you're talking about because again, when you go back to the records that's this contained in, it gives you the descendancy of spirit. You got these beings right here that were before 76 trillion years. See, these beings have to control both of these orders at all times. Orb beings are simply the beings that come from sun, moon, and the earth.
Bodies, from celestial bodies.
Because in the center of all these bodies is a brain.
Right, okay.
You see? And this brain produces by what we call concentration, spirit beings. And these are your orb beings. Okay. And then these orb beings create helpers, or spirits, and these are spirit to spirit. In other words, you have 2 spirit beings that each give up a part of themselves like we do as humans. You and your wife, y'all copulate to give birth to children.
Right.
But spirit beings do the same thing. So you have a female spirit and a male spirit, they split.
Right.
And so the split from you joins the split from your female counterpart, they come together and create another being, and these get helpers. So these are clarification of spirit. So it's these beings here that's in control of nature at all times. And they are what you would call before time.
Now,
and the sons of the universes is what give birth to what we call time. But these beings supersede that, they were always here.
Okay, well that'll go back into, now this means that this will go back to what the message was saying, but the difference between the ancients and the old ones. The old ones are the ones who exist outside of this time. Ancient only referred to the beings that existed in this timeline. But then remember when we first started, he said we had the Nomos, the Ilus, the Neteru, and the Elohim, or Anunnaki, whatever. You know what I'm saying? He said those are the 4 races that had a hand in our creation.
Right.
So we came from them. But he said the Ilus were the only ones that never came onto this side of reality. They always stayed in the spiritual side, the eggs. You know what I'm saying? So with that, so those in essence would be your newts because they never materialized. You know what I'm saying? Into this side then, right? So that'd be like so I'm trying to get the correlation because even when we talk about the Neteru, the Nomos, the Neteru, the Ilus, and the Anunnaki, those 4, those would still be symbolic of the Noone, the head, the Noone, the head, Amun, which the Amun would be the hidden one, the one that remained hidden. You know what I'm saying?
Well, all those beings there, they would fall upon the orbs.
Because they are manifested.
Right. See again, these beings here, they cannot be seen with the physical eye or with a telescope.
But that's how you said with the Ilus. The Ilus never did come onto this side of reality. They always stayed in the spirit.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they never materialized.
But they also use another terminology called the Igigi. Remember, the Igigi never came down. But you're talking.
But the Igigi still stayed up in the sky.
Right.
So that's different.
But these are the beings that you're talking about. We're talking about the Ilus and the Igigi. They're Etherians. And these are your Etherians right here.
Oh, still
see,
okay.
Right. Because see, the sun itself, again, is an etheric being.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And in the center of the sun
it's a mind.
is a brain. And through brain concentration, they create what you call your sun spirits. In the center of the earth, there is we call a blob brain, and it creates earth spirits. So you have coming from, it depends on which cycle the sun is. If it's 9 ether, it's going to be 9 ether sun spirits. And then on down to 7, 8 beings, and then when you get to earth, that's 5 ether, because actually this is descending from 6 exactly. When we're in this lower cycle here, in the circle order. When this cycle smack earth, you still got 2 smaller circles, the Nu and the Zu.
Right.
So when we get to the Zu, it's 6 on down, from 6 to 3. So this circle of earth, again, you have a brain in the center of the earth that has a blob brain that creates spirit beings called earth beings. The same thing with the moon. And this is why I was tying in about Larry.
For him to say, our moon. Yeah,
right.
It's a moon.
Right. And not only that, you're doing moon blood sacrifice, so that tells me that you are connected with moon forces, which is 4 ether. And the moon also has a blob brain. And it creates spirit beings called moon spirit or 4 ether beings. So each degree of ether has spirit beings that come from itself, because these orbs, sun, moon, and stars, actually create spirit beings. And from them, they create spirit to spirit, which are your helpers, which are lesser degrees. Like you have some people say, well, I just came here to help. So they tell you they're helper spirits. These orb spirits are your original supreme beings of this planet.
This planet, right.
You see? But see, this is why a lot of people get confused about doctrine. Why you have a lot of people who subscribe to Pan-Africanism, why they always refer to spirit beings called Shundo and Obatala, which is just different other names for some of their same spirit beings. But what they're not taking into consideration is that all these beings that they're talking about is either going to fit into the category of orbs or helpers.
Right.
You see, nobody even know about these group of beings here, because they haven't gotten to the higher degree of information, which you got to get to the science of all sciences. You see, so there is bits of information in some of the scrolls, but he got it so well hid. Your mind's eye, you got to have not evolve, but revolve.
Right.
Back to
radar.
You see?
Yeah.
Back to Noone, for your mind's eye to open up and really see who's who and what's what. Because that puzzled me for a long time. Like Doc said, when y'all ask the right questions, that lets you know that you're ready for
the next
different degree of information. So I often wonder, okay, the next number above 76 is 77. So if the creation of the Etherians was 76 trillion years ago,
what happened 77 trillion?
Exactly. Who are the beings that's older than that's at that point? So when you get past 76 trillion years, you into a different degree of beings. A lot of people refer to these beings as
dark matter.
Dark matter. Dark matter is nothing but ether. That's all it is. But you got to pinpoint which level of ether you're talking about. You're talking about dark matter 9 ether.
That's why
you're talking about dark matter 60. You see what I'm saying?
That's why there are different degrees of dark. If you put the nets on it,
right,
to know different degrees within that. So even when, like you said, even with dark matter and ether, there are levels within ether. Like we said, on this side of hydrogen, we go from one going forward.
Right.
It's the complete opposite.
On the other side.
Counterpart on the other side.
Negative one.
Going up.
You got from 0 to positive 1, that's atomic. From 0 to negative 1, that's subatomic. Exactly. But you know, see, talk about that, the stage of darkness all that is within what's called black. See, black has no stages.
Right.
It has no degrees. It's all black is all. So darkness has its existence in black, just like light has its existence in black. Light and darkness are opposites, not light and black, because all things exist within black. So how can black have opposites? It doesn't. All opposites have its existence within black,
right,
which is all. See, they don't understand the science because they still dealing with this.
Right. We haven't bumped up to 9.
They hadn't got to the higher science. Noone is the science of all science, and you see, pantheism comes out of Noone. When Noone, at this point right here, this is called Wu-Nuwupu. That means that Noone has reached its apex. It is the highest. Once it reaches its highest apex, it starts descending.
Right.
And when it gets to 6, it becomes pantheism. And out of pantheism evolves religion. And then it goes back up. So it's a continued cycle. So after we make 80 revolutions of this, then that's when it goes into the smack circle disorder. And it makes 80 revolutions of that. And then it goes back. You see, infinitely. That's where the figure 8 comes in at. So they don't know anything about the perfection of Noone science, which is what we call Wu-Nuwupu. You know, when apex. Just like in the state of 6 ether, 3 ether is the perfection of 6 ether. When 6 ether gets to the point of perfection, it's called 3 ether, which is religion. That's why religion is so powerful,
right,
in this cycle, because it's the perfection of death. All from here, these two right here are your death sciences.
Right.
And that's why we glorify death so much. That's why we have the cross. Then we have the Egyptian cross, same thing. You see, this is supposed to represent science of life, and this represents science of death. But depending upon which group of Egyptians you talk about, it's also
represents death.
It does, exactly.
Right.
Because you got 3 groups of, actually 4 groups of Egyptians. They are all dealing with the science of the cycle, which is still pantheism. It's like I said, unless you become an advocate of Noone science, you never get to the highest. You still dealing with the lower sciences, thinking that, hey, I done reached the apex of protocol. No, you ain't. You got to get back to this. And Wu-Nuwaupu came out of that. Wu-Nuwaupu is just a watered down version of Noone science. That's all it is. And I don't want to say water.
Say palatable version of it, something easily digested.
Because he had to create a format to walk us through all the stages of the death sciences to get us back to the science of life. All of those schools
deal with death.
Right. There was incapacitated Wu-Nuwaupu was leading straight back to that pure 9 ether science called Noone. And you'll never get past 76 trillion until you get to the actual science of it. To understand, who's who and what's what. Because there are 18 universe scientists that control the universe at all times. And it is not these orb things, it's the brain news things. You see? It's the brain news. That's why it tells you that brain news is in all matter at all times. Because they are the ones that's controlling all things at all times. All the activity is controlled by those beings. Okay. And they were the ones that was here before 76.
So right, when you talk about the voluntary and involuntary action of the function of the body or implants or whatever, the involuntary side would be controlled by the brain. That's something that you have no control over.
So you got 2 brains.
You
got a reptilian brain that's in your cranium, and then you have a brain in the center of your sun that's in your chest.
Right.
That's why you don't have to think about breathing.
Right.
Because the sun inside has what you call a gauge that controls that function without you even have to consciously think about breathing. I ain't got to think about
like a limiter switch, like on the unit. Let me say like on the AC unit, it automatically tells the compressor to cut on and cut off.
Right.
It's already set. Okay.
Exactly.
So looking at it from that angle, so then if doing certain things to the body, that's going to automatically change the regulatory function of the involuntary action, because now it's already pre-programmed to function a certain way, and that's why when we do certain things, it offsets the balance of that.
Brain is the supreme control, because the universe is nothing but a big brain.
Right.
You see? So
This is that all is mental.
Right. That's why I say that, you have to have a meeting of the minds, and meeting of the minds comes with understanding how to activate the brain units. You know, and then being on the level with the higher sciences. You see, so it will always be friction and disruption when you got people who kind of straggling between the different levels.
Right,
exactly.
Right.
So you got a person who subscribes to this, and you got a person who's here, and y'all trying to build something, it ain't gonna be no equilibrium. Because they coming from this philosophy, and you may be coming from that philosophy, and y'all not gonna see or have that actual meeting of the minds as to go about how to do certain things. That's why I said, when I look at all the organizations, the main thing that I see why there can't be supreme unity is because of people's methodology.
Okay.
The way they go about trying to do something, it ain't a meeting of the minds. We all have the idea of going to the same destination.
But we got different ways.
We got different ways to get there. Why? It ain't a meeting of the minds.
Right.
Because my mind ain't gonna meet with your mind if I'm here and you here. You're gonna see a different way, a different methodology how to go about to achieve and accomplish that.
Gotcha.
You know, ain't nothing wrong with that, but in order to be successful, I'm gonna have to find somebody that has the meeting of mind with this philosophy, so we can incorporate it and actually have a brain connection.
And then y'all will actually get it done.
We can exactly.
Y'all are actually on one accord.
Exactly.
It's like being on one accord.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's all about your brain. It's all about how can my brain connect with your brain, and we actually have a foundation by which we are making that connection. It's the same thing with your mate.
Look, good. Just stepping from the physical human attribute, just looking at computers. Like y'all, you got an Android. You got an Android.
I got an eye.
You got an eye. Okay, you got an Android. You got an eye. Those two platforms, even though they essentially do the same function, but their programming is totally different.
Exactly.
And it's funny because, like I said, it's like I tried to send some stuff I tried to Bluetooth. I linked up both of my phones, and I tried to send something from my Android to it won't do it. And I'm sitting there like, well, it's Bluetooth. I mean, it recognizes it's connected, but for some reason, it will not accept their programming or the format.
Right. You have to have another program or application
to convert it.
And they call emulators. Right, just like you heard of BlueStacks?
Yeah.
Okay, in order to download certain Apple applications, you got
an emulator.
You got an emulator. And BlueStacks is an application that's an emulator that allows to have that connection. So you got two different applications going on here. You got to find an application so it can be a meeting of the minds.
Right.
You know, somebody got to come down, somebody got to come up, or somebody got to be somewhere in the middle. You see? But like I said, you know, we got to understand the science.
Exactly.
And that's why all you're talking about, you know, it's got to be meeting them out, but there's a certain brain formula that you have to utilize to even get there. So you start talking about doing this and doing that, and just to say, for the sake of saying, you know, we all got to unify, come together. We love saying that, and that's true. But do we truly understand the mechanisms to motivate and activate those mental ways to allow that connection?
Right.
And if you're not really getting to the root science of, you're not gonna know how to do it.
Exactly.
Because it's not sufficient just for bodies to come together talking about we gonna do something.
No.
That's not how it goes.
It's all mental.
You know, yeah.
Because people be miles away from each other, but they mentally linked.
Exactly. You got to first be in accord mentally. You know, then spirit, then physical. Because everything, you know, starts from the mental plane. All is mental. So we go from mental to spirit, then down to physical. And really, when you get to the physical level, after you got the mental and spiritual alignment, the physical just does its job and come effortlessly. You know.
Right, because wherever the mind goes, the body's gonna automatically follow.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, the mental, getting mentally together is the objective.
Exactly.
The real objective.
That's it. That's it.
Which, like you said, with all this talk about the language, going back to the language, which is to talk about the languages, they're using the story of Nimrod, and they talk about the fact that how he was able to accomplish what he accomplished with all the people that spoke one language. They had the same mindset. They spoke one tongue, so therefore there was no confusion. But like I said, the other part about that story that is funny is like you get the sense, but it's taught to the point where all of a sudden God says, I'm gonna confound their languages, and everybody just broke off. And it's like, that don't even make sense. There had to have been a period of time of people perverting things or coming in, bringing in different tones or migrations to their area of people from other places to get people to say, well, you know what, man, yeah, we've been doing it, but man, I like that over there. And the other groups say, I like that over there. And they started separating. So the project never got finished because everybody's got distracted and got moved away from the project. So yeah, but like I said, that's one of the things about, like, I want to get back to the original. Like, we need to go through this. Like before, like, because if you think about it, like you say, he started jumping around with things because he said he had to keep them off his track. If they would have knew where he was going, he said they would have ran up ahead of him and already had, they would have put stuff in place to prevent us from doing this and doing that. So he knew what he was doing. But now it's like, now things come back around full circle. It's like we need to really just jump onto this.